When I first read the entire bylaw, I was a little bit surprised that it didn't really carve out concert venues as a separate community to be dealt with separately than other noise complaints.
On June 10, the City of Montreal introduced a new noise bylaw for the Ville-Marie borough, replacing the one previously proposed for the Plateau Montréal on June 2nd. The new bylaw keeps the concept of spectral emergence, basically how much a venue's sound stands out compared to the usual background noise in the area. But unlike the earlier version, this one adjusts for each environment's typical ambient sound when the venue isn't active. That means venues in Ville-Marie are now allowed an additional 3 decibels at night from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and 4 decibels during the day and evening from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. If those limits are exceeded, corrective measures could be required. However, some groups, like les Scènes des musiques alternatives du Québec or les SMAQ, argue that police shouldn't be involved in enforcing the bylaw. They say this could lead to abusive or excessive noise complaints and ultimately the shutdown of cultural spaces.
The SPVM still have the authority to arrive at a venue, to ask them to stop making noise, in other words, to close the show, to stop the show, or to fine them, regardless of all the other provisions in the proposed bylaw. So at the end of the day, if this bylaw passes, it won't necessarily have prevented a La Tulipe or a Divan Orange. So all the work that was done will be for nothing unless there's a provision in the bylaw, black and white, directly in there, that separate inspectors deal with noise complaints related to venues and not the SPVM.
City News reached out to the City of Montreal, but they declined to comment. The cultural organization Suoni per il Popolo is also planning a funeral walk this Sunday at noon, a symbolic march to mourn lost cultural spaces and push back against gentrification.
This organization, Reverberations to Increase, contacted me and their friends and fellow activists in the housing justice movement. They said, we have this idea to do a march for all the disappeared cultural spaces in the neighborhood. And this neighborhood has been one that has, for many, many years, been a hub for creativity and cultural spaces.
The march starts at Jeanne Mance Park at the corner of Esplanade and Mont-Royal.
Definitely interesting instruments will be there, maybe ones you haven't heard before.
In Montreal, Johanie Bouffard, City News.